Hello and welcome to today's video, the final video of my Monteverde Mania March. I've spent the last month reviewing Monteverde inks, doing sort of more proper in-depth reviews, and then today's video is kind of like a mini review overview of something that I just really love, and that is this. This is the Monteverde Jungle Ink Collection. Monteverde do these sets of inks, either 8 or 10 depending on what they're doing. They've had like the Gemstones one, the Noir series, things like that. This is the Jungle set. Now, there are 10 inks here. As you can see, they've got some animals. Some are interesting choices for the jungle. But what they are is 10 kind of very rich coloured inks, in the standard 30ml bottles in a lovely presentation boxes. I should like with a nice sleeve over the top of it, nicely printed, designed. And then in here is the inks with what it says is a magnetic reusable gift box, which is this lovely box. It's reusable because although it's got Monteverde on the top there, you can take, it's got this little card in the top here, which gives a bit of information about everything. And then you've got the bottles, and I'll just open up one to show you because these are the standard bottles in the cardboard boxes. Little rectangular square base glass bottle with a little metal lid. It's very good. It comes, when it comes in, it's sealed nicely as well. Simple label on the front, the animal, and a rough kind of idea of what the color is. As I said, they are 30ml bottles with the ITF technology, which stops it from drying out and all of those kinds of things. Bit of information there. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk about, I'm going to show you each of these inks, and then going to talk about a little bit about the performance, and then sort of show them on some different papers and things like that. So let's get started, and these are the inks. So the first one here is Gorilla. So Gorilla is I guess it's kind of like a rich burgundy red, like brown, which is very, very nice. It's got a bit of sheen there. These are all on colouring cards. I'm going to show inks to give you a sense of where they fit, sort of colour-wise. I'm going to show it alongside, each one alongside a Robert Oster ink, and then alongside another random ink from my collection. These are not inks that I'm choosing to match the colour of these inks, more to sort of put it in perspective. So they're within the colour family, but give an idea of where they sit. So what I've chosen is Robert Oster's Maroon 1789 and Diamine Writer's Blood. Now it's a little more red than the Maroon, and it's not quite as purple as the Writer's Blood. So it sort of sits in that sort of nice little common area, similar sort of sheen, green, dark green, copper sheen to the Maroon and Writer's Blood. But yeah, in that kind of family, nice ink. Next, we have Toucan, which is a grey-black, and I don't know if this is trying to be a black because it comes up quite dark grey, and the colours I have chosen for this, I wanted to put it alongside like a proper black, so I've chosen Platinum Carbon Black because I think it's one of the nice truest blacks, although in this light it's showing up quite grey. It's because it's a bit reflective of the light. And then Robert Oster Black is Black, which is another sort of grey kind of black, but it's sort of the brown end of grey, whereas this is quite grey. Next is Lion. Now this is a really interesting ink. It kind of has these like greeny tinges that sort of come up through it, but it's not really sheen. It kind of reminds me a bit of, what was that ink? Jungle Volcano from Krishna. But the inks I've chosen to put it alongside today, I wanted to show it alongside like what I consider like a nice sort of burnished orange. This is the Robert Oster Burnt Orange, which has some of that same sort of like dark shading within it, and then a proper orange, sunrise orange from Kaweco. So you can see in some of these lighter shading, we get some of the same sort of stuff coming through here, and then yeah, it fits. That's sort of where it fits within the orange family. Next is Hippo, which is kind of blue. Now, some of these colors are, I think, designed to match sort of colors of the animals, and others are just colors and they've put it to an animal. Hippo kind of sits in the middle ground there somewhere. It doesn't scream hippo to me, but I think it's a really great color. Now, for me, this sits somewhere between it's coming up very blue in this light, but that's Waterman Serenity Blue, and then that is Dragon's Night from Robert Oster, which is quite purple. So it sits somewhere between these. There's a bit of purple hint to this Hippo ink, but you can see it's not that same light, vibrant royal blue that Serenity Blue is either. The next ink is Turtle. Now, I assume with this color for Turtle, they're going with the idea of the water, which also doesn't quite scream jungle to me, but that's okay. That's okay. Two inks I've put in this alongside are Diamine Aqua Lagoon and Robert Oster Australian Opal Blue. This is very light, but it reads okay on the page. There's an ink I'm looking at later in the year that actually is a very similar match to this, which I'll show then, and I'll show the comparison when I do that as well. So it's not got some of the depth of Aqua Lagoon, but in this sort of lighter shading here, where like the single pass shading, it's got some colours in common with the Robert Oster there. Monteverde Jungle Ink Elephant is next. This is a really interesting ink. It's quite dark purple. The lighter shading is almost like a grey purple, and then you get some sort of greeny kind of sheen. Two inks that I'm putting this alongside are Robert Oster Black Violet, which I adore. Some of those lighter shades sort of having things in common. And then Diamine Eclipse, which I think holds some common sort of shading in sort of the darker, but I think that puts it in a interesting place between those purples and those purple greys that I think this elephant ink fits nicely in. Okay, Chameleon is next. Chameleon could have been any colour, and they chose this sort of burgundy purple, which I'm putting alongside Robert Oster Dark Chocolate, which for me is a very purpley brown, and you can see some similarities there. And then I'm putting it alongside this, which is the Wearing All Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde Edward Hyde variants. This is after you've added, if you're familiar with the ink, if you're not, check out the review on my channel. This is after you add the solution. And I think some of those dark purples and that green sheen that these have sort of in common. Like, it's not as sheeny as this, but there's a hint of green sheen on the Chameleon. But I think sort of like you see some of those shading in common with those two inks there. Crocodile is next, and that could only be a green ink. This has got some beautiful depth to it. I really enjoy this. Diplomat or Octopus Fluids Moss Green, I found some similarities with. And in the Robert Oster family, I picked River of Fire simply because the dark shading, I think, is bang on. These are two very rich greens with some lovely red sheen, and there is red sheen a little bit on the Crocodile ink. I just think it's a beautiful green. I love that lighter shading, and when that comes out in the writing, it looks fabulous. So I have to admit, I find the last two inks a little bit confusing in terms of colour. First is Zebra, which is blue. The colours I've put this next to are Royal Oxford Blue from Diamine and Blue Night from Robert Oster. The Blue Night has some shading similarities, but I also wanted to put this alongside like a nice rich dark blue, just to give the sense that there is a bit of grey happening in this Zebra ink. It's a very dusty blue, not like a vibrant blue. And the last one is Giraffe, which for me could have been a much lighter, another orange kind of ink. In fact, you could probably switch out Lion and this, thinking like this is like like the mane on a lion, and lion with that orange could be closer to the color of a giraffe, perhaps. But this is what they've gone with, and these are the inks that I have, and I still think it's a great ink. The two inks I'm putting it alongside are Diamine Monaco Red and Robert Oster Burgundy. You can see similarities in the darker sort of earthy red tone, and some of those oranges that come through in Monaco Red I think are very present in this Monteverde ink. I really like this color. Like, Monaco Red is one of those reds that's really come out as one of my favorite inks recently, and so I'm loving this color. So that is the 10 inks on a on colouring cards. Let's now look at them on Tomo River. You can see the colours are a little bit more muted on this. These are highly saturated inks. Generally speaking, super saturated. Gorilla, that rich burgundy red, the grey purple of elephant, that sort of grey black of toucan, the browny burgundy of chameleon, that rich orange but with that sort of underlying green for lion, that lovely, mossy foresty green for crocodile, the bluey purpley kind of color for hippo, that dusty blue for zebra, the bright vibrant water blue of turtle, and then the rich earthy red of giraffe. So inks that are beautiful and they perform relatively well. Like, these are heavy swabs. And there's some spots where, things sort of got away from me. But you can see these are strong inks. I categorize them to someone, another pen friend, as being aggressive or assertive inks. Now, they are safe for pens. There's no denying that. The ITF technology means that they don't clog and all of those kinds of things. They are safe, but you might just want to be aware of just how... I've had most of these in pens now, and they clean well, and there's no issue there, but they are quite assertive. They're wet, they're saturated, you've got a lot of stuff going on. Let's look at it on some other paper. Let's work up from the bottom to, with this student notepad paper. And you can see the colours look quite nice. They're a little bit more sort of uniform, of course, because you don't get shading and sheen on this paper. But it gives you a really good sense of actually what the colours are. And I quite like that. I quite like the way these colours look on this page. Like, zebra looks really cool here. Once again, giraffe, I really enjoy that shade. But you can see some feathering. And if we flip over, there is a lot of bleed. A lot of bleed. These are inks that are not going to handle lower end paper. If we look at it on the standard copy paper, once again, the colors I love. These are a little bit tighter on this paper. This is 80 GSM, sort of copy paper, so it's okay. But still a bit of feathering, but the colors I think look really sharp. Once again, lots and lots of bleed. The final way we're going to look at these inks today is on Rhodia, and I have written with them, and I've done a little bit of a water test just with a water brush pen on each of these, just to give a sense of sort of how they handle water. And so Gorilla, that color looks great. But one thing you can see straight up is how, because these inks are so saturated, the color just sort of moves around a lot. So what I did was I with a very wet brush pen, I brushed over them and then dabbed up, with a paper towel, the water, and you can just see how much of the ink is sort of spread around with that high saturation. But yeah, you can sort of still make out, most of them. Lion, perhaps a little less, and of course turtle a little less, and even giraffe a little less. But you can sort of make out that where the lines are fairly well. On Rhodia, generally speaking, they hold fairly well in terms of feathering. This is hand oils, and that's not. You can see from other writing with it that it doesn't spread that like that. But the colors look good, nice and vibrant and rich. There's nice sheen on a lot of these inks. As I said, they look great on the page. There's no sort of super heavy feathering on this paper. Rhodia is designed for fountain pens. Well, it's not designed for fountain pens, but it is fountain pen friendly, we should say. But if we look at the reverse, so firstly, even here, there are spots where it sort of comes through to the next page, and the reverse of this page, all the swabs basically sort of came through. That is kind of to be expected a little bit, but we also get a little bit here and there dots from the writing, which shouldn't happen. So these are inks designed for premium paper. In drier pens, these would probably be quite fine. In wetter pens like I tend to use, you will get some feathering and bleed even on Rhodia and Tomo River. And this is the only thing I kind of feel with these inks, is that they are aggressive on lower end paper and in wet pens. So just be aware of that. enjoy the colors, love the colors, and I really enjoyed the set. And I think they're really great value. The Monteverde sets come in, like I think this one retails in the US for around $90. And so it, you are getting a lot of ink. You're getting 300 mils of ink for $90. That's amazing value. And it is safe ink, and it's not going to stain things. It might take a little bit more to wash out simply because of that saturation, but it's not going to stain, which is really important. So yeah, this is the Monteverde Jungle Ink Set. I'll run over those colors again here, sort of on the coloring cards, just to remind everybody. So we have Gorilla, we have Toucan, Lion, Hippo, the beautiful light blue of Turtle, Elephant. See if I can get these all on. Probably going to be a bit better. Chameleon, Crocodile with that beautiful rich green, Zebra, which is a beautiful dusty sort of medium to dark blue, and then that earthy red of Giraffe. So 10 lovely ink colors, lots of interesting sort of properties in terms of shading and some sheen, and really high saturation if that's something that you're into. But yeah, probably just to be aware, lower end paper, these are going to be a bit aggressive, and you might just want to think about putting them in finer or slightly drier nibs, because if you put these in a really wet pen, you are going to find a lot of things like bleeding. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this video interesting and useful. If you did, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notifications button if you want to stay up to date with the videos that I produce. Please feel free to get in touch using any of the platforms listed below. You can find me on Instagram or Twitter at @_offstage_me, or you can contact me on any of my videos here, or drop me an email, which is listed down below. If you've got products you think I should be looking at, or if there's a way you'd like to support the channel by sponsoring a review or providing an item for review. And a big thank you to Monteverde for supporting this channel for this month through some of their affiliates, which is lovely. Without the support of you, the viewers, and manufacturers and retailers, this channel would not be possible. So yeah, please get in touch if there's a way you'd like to support the channel. In the meantime, enjoy your inks, enjoy writing, and I'll talk to you soon.